Coming up on tonight's show, Desi DNA goes behind the scenes of Shoot on Sight, a new British film exploring the police handling of controversial anti-terror laws. We look at the impact of last year's smoking ban on shisha cafes across the UK. Rewind History looks back at the 90s and the birth of Asian Cool. And heavy metal collective Parikrama become the first Indian band to perform at Donington for the Download Rock Festival.
The London bombings of July 2005 led to one of the largest policing operations ever seen on the British mainland.
Though the subject of intense public scrutiny, what exactly happened that fateful summer still remains unclear.
One thing that is certain is that the events that took place left community relations in tatters and the whole nation questioning a police policy to shoot terror suspects on sight.
This spring sees the release of a major new film that tackles the thorny issues of terror, shoot to kill and racial profiling. The tense political thriller Shoot on Sight is a fictional account inspired by the events that followed the London bombings of 2005. In the film, the city is gripped by fear of another terror attack and a suspected suicide bomber is shot dead by police marksmen.
All police, put your hands above your head and drop to your knees. Do it! Hands above your head! Now!
In the aftermath of the shooting, a high-ranking Muslim police officer is brought in to lead the investigation. But as tensions mount, he finds himself under suspicion and is forced to choose between faith and loyalty.
So the fact that the suspect was Muslim played no part in his being targeted?
We are waging war on terrorists, miss. That is who we are targeting.
But he was a Muslim.
As am I, Miss Davies.
Director Jagmohan Mundra is uncompromising when it comes to tackling controversial subjects.
I feel that I like to tell stories which have something to say. I like to tell stories which are important and relevant to our lives. And if that means it leads into some controversy, so be it.
Provoked, his previous British film caused a media stir when it dramatised the events surrounding a real-life domestic violence and murder case. I've been invited to the set of Shoot on Sight to see some of the action for myself. What drew the director to the London bombings as a subject for his latest film?
It's a fictional story, but drawn from incidences which I've observed here.
In this film, a young British Asian man shot dead.
In this film, yeah.
A lot of people are going to see the connection with the shooting of John Charles Menendez. If there had been a young British Asian man shot dead, do you think the situation would have been different? Do you think the press would have handled it differently, the public?
Well, that's exactly what my film examines. What if that guy was not Brazilian? What if he was a young Muslim boy? That is precisely the what if scenario is what this film takes into account.
With the seeds of his idea in place, Jag called in writer Carl Austin to create a dramatic plotline.
We took the idea of taking the Menendez shooting and kind of, fictionalizing it, changing it to where, the character was actually a Muslim, 20-something who was on his way somewhere and gets shot. And then on top of everything else, while they did make a mistake with this particular incident, it now looks as if there is an actual terrorist cell that they kind of missed who is working in London to bring about some kind of chemical attack. We kind of wanted to do something that was politically relevant, and kind of dealt with the things that are going on right now here in London, but also a kind of an action film as well.
The central role is a high-ranking Muslim police officer, played by Nasruddin Shah.
The character I'm playing is an assistant commissioner at Scotland Yard who is assigned to investigate the accidental killing of a young backpacker in a tube station. And then it's a story about his family, it's a story about his relationship with his colleagues, his own ambitions. He's not presented as an outsider. He's not presented as a person who's trying to fit in. He has an English wife and he has children from her, and they live a perfectly normal life in a perfectly normal home until their peace of mind gets disrupted by this incident.
Oh, there's a letter for you. I think it's from Appa.
This one?
Playing Nasruddin's wife is Greta Scarci. Through their marriage, the film explores not only the complexity of a relationship under pressure, but also issues of race.
She's a white woman who's married a Muslim. He's a practicing Muslim who decided that she hasn't converted, that they have a fairly liberal sort of relationship in that way. And in this story, through various characters and various plots and subplots, we get to see every sort of possible manifestation of this kind of prejudgment about people because of the colour of their skin.
The prejudices and misunderstandings within the police force come to a head between Nasruddin's character and his opposite number, played by Ralph Fiennes.
So he's a fairly plain-speaking kind of bloke and sees the whole situation as a war, which he's a soldier on one side of. And that kind of attitude can come over as quite racist, or it's assumed all the way through the movie that he is racist.
The question isn't, are all Muslims terrorists? It's, are all terrorists Muslim? And I think we both know the answer to that, yeah? It's a film which I believe needs to be supported. It's a film that needs to be made. There are quite a few interesting Asian parts in it, one of them being played by Om Puri and another by Gulshan Grover. And there's a young Pakistani boy in it as well. But I would have happily played any part that Jagmohan had asked me to play in this film.
Action!
For director Jagmohan Mundra, being able to create action thrillers that also tackle head-on some of the most serious issues of our day is what keeps him interested in the medium.
Our police! You're surrounded!
Part of the job of artists, whether they are writers, filmmakers, or musicians, or anyone, is to try to show the mirror to society.
Come out with your hands in the air!
Shoot on Sight is aimed for a cinema release later this spring.
Whether you agree with it or not, there is no getting away from the fact that the government has banned smoking, all smoking, in all enclosed public spaces, however you enjoy your tobacco. And that includes shisha.
I'm fighting for my life.
Shisha makes you like happy.
I'm fighting for my future.
A lot of people here, they're confused, they're very depressed.
I'm fighting for my kids and my wife's future.
It's about ruining a culture.
Is an historic part of multicultural Britain going up in bureaucratic smoke? This is George Street, Portman Square, an exclusive part of central London to you and me. It's here in 1809 that Mr. Dean Mohammed opened up his exclusive Hindustani coffee house. It became a bit of a hip hangout where well-heeled gents would come and tuck into his fine Indian dishes and, as this book says, enjoy the hookah with real Chillum tobacco, which tells me that they've been smoking shisha in London for nearly 200 years. The shisha, hookah or nargila started out as a way of smoking fruit tobacco in ancient India. It was quickly spread throughout North Africa and Arabia by the Ottoman Empire and became an integral part of Arab life. Lately, it's found a home in the diverse British culture. Trendy shisha cafes were opened all over the country, just in time for...
The ban on smoking in public in England comes into force this Sunday.
And that ban included shisha lounges. How has this unknown corner of tobacco culture been affected? Can shisha survive in smoke-free Britain? For decades, the Edgware Road in West London has been the spiritual home to Arab culture in Britain. Many people in the local community see shisha as a vital part of their culture. The cafe owners feared the ban would destroy their way of life. Sharif owns Mezzazik, an underground hangout for the nouveau shisha chic, with indoor smoking room only.
People around this area don't really drink alcohol because of the religion factor and stuff like that, so they smoke shisha. So a lot of my customers are pretty upset and pretty surprised. They're all asking me questions on what's going on. And when I get back to them, I say to them, Saturday's the last day for smoking shisha. A lot of them are pretty upset. I don't see them banning alcohol, which causes antisocial behaviour. They've got pubs now that 24-hour drinking binges now, so at the end of the day, why are they stopping a shisha?
It wasn't only the trendy hangouts of London that were threatened by the ban. In the suburbs of Birmingham, Ayad Al-Abaisi had opened a shisha cafe to fill a gap in the local market.
We had to travel all the way to London, to Edgware Road to smoke shisha. So I decided to open a shisha cafe. That is our culture.
Many of the traders on Edgware Road felt the ban would be an economic and cultural disaster. The Save the Shisha campaign called unsuccessfully for an exemption.
And what we're saying to the government, the impact is so devastating on our culture, community and businesses, it's worthy of an exemption. And can you please exempt us? You have the power to exempt on cultural ground, on community ground. We said it in a number of letters, and now we have an outright no.
In Birmingham, when Ayad's application for a restaurant licence was finally refused, he faced an uncertain future.
I think I can't keep it open because selling coffee and tea is not good enough. I'm subject to a lease for 9 years. And if I break the lease, I will have to pay 6 months rent, which equivalent to £6,000. I have to support my wife and my little kid. I have no choice. I think they haven't thought about us at all.
The ban has now been in place for a few months, and I've come back to London to see how things are going. And on the face of it, here on Edgware Road, nothing seems to have changed. The cafes with pavement seating seem to be doing a roaring trade, but talking to the owners tells another story.
So now the ban's in place, how badly affected is your business?
About 80 to 90%. We serve the shisha just outside.
Oh, it seems to be still quite busy though.
Yes.
There's still quite a few people that will come outside.
In a weekend, just a weekend.
Right.
In a winter time, it will affect more.
Yeah.
Nobody will sit outside with a cold weather having shisha.
Whether you smoke inside or out, not everyone in the Muslim community feels shisha is a vital part of culture. The health implications are very worrying, and it's not just the tobacco that is the issue.
Is really smoking shisha very bad for your health?
Tobacco is still a tobacco, but even though it's going through filtered water.
What are some of the serious implications?
Definitely there is a spread of bacterial diseases like, tuberculosis, spread of viruses, which is causing hepatitis. These diseases are very high among the Muslim and Arab community in this country. In addition to that, Islamic religion will not permit to intoxicate your health. So for Muslims it's not allowed.
The health risks of smoking any tobacco are clear, but the religious issue is more of a personal choice. I've returned to Birmingham to find out how Ayad is coping with the ban now it's been in effect for some time.
Place is still open then?
It's still open, man. You want to see the secret at the back?
Let's have a look.
You see, this is the new place we make. We were closed for over a month. No.
What's the future for you? Because this is your one and only business. I mean, what are you going to do?
I'm fighting for my life. Yeah, I'm fighting for my future. I'm fighting for my kids and my wife's future.
Do you think it'll work?
It will work. I will give all my effort. I will give all my power to make this work. If I have to bring a heater for every customer, I will.
Ayad is living proof of how resilient his culture can be. Die-hard shisha smokers will always have the choice to smoke either outside or at home. But talking to the youth of Edgware Road, it's clear they feel the ban is affecting them most. The shisha lounges provided a welcome alternative to pubs and bars. Many of them are simply feeling left out in the cold.
It's really sad how it's not going to be the same.
Back at George Street, after just 3 years, Dean Mohammed went bankrupt. Basically, people didn't turn up. Today, the cafe owners have put up a good fight. Many are still open, but only time will tell if shisha can survive the depths of a freezing British winter.
It's 1997, and things apparently can only get better. New Labour is the new government, and Tony Blair's invited his shiny new friends to his shiny new house. Britpop's the new big thing, and the Union Jack has gone from fascist symbol to fashion symbol. So, were we finally going to get a Brit-Asian piece of this new cool Britannia Pakora?
1997, when I think about that, I think about being in the middle of a whirlwind.
What we saw there was a whole new birth of what it meant to be British and Asian.
All those things came together at once. So suddenly everyone thought, we've arrived.
Throughout the 80s and 90s, to wider society, Brit-Asian culture meant Bhangra, Bollywood and Bargees.
Before 97, people would say, being black is cool, Asian isn't.
I mean, when I was growing up, being Asian wasn't being cool. I mean, it was a complete contradiction. The two words, you didn't really hear them in the same sentence.
But suddenly, overnight, apparently we were cool. Yeah, even me.
So you had this change, the whole spirit of the age, the zeitgeist had changed, and it was like Labour's finally in, there's hope, you know, were we part of England now?
About 20, 30 years ago, there was a wide range of our parents' generation, but they all had one thing to do, and that was to settle themselves. At the moment, you've got, you know, the whole second generation growing up.
The most important thing that the Asian Underground and New Age and Cool gave to British Asian art was a generation of artists who actually understood that we weren't going to be marginalised anymore.
Now, you might not have realised it at the time on the still uncool streets of Birmingham or Bradford, but a small club in trendy East London was at the heart of this new scene.
The whole New Asian Cool thing exploded around Anoka, the nightclub. It exploded around Talvin Singh.
It's about embracing your cultural environment. You know, I don't tend to separate, like, you know, music as in Western and Eastern. I really treat it as one source.
It's the first time I had something to latch onto as a British Asian and kind of go, yeah, man, you know, this is cool. It is all about kind of representing, and it was great to be in the cool place that was Hoxton Square at the time at the Blue Note and know that there was hundreds of people trying to get into this club night.
I remember turning up and being forced to wait outside. I mean, this line went round the block and you're sitting there going, Asians? Asian club, not a Bhangra gig, a mixed audience in the line.
It was just about style over substance. I think that was my kind of problem with it. And I think a lot of the music was style over substance, you know. I think there were great ideas there.
And with other nights like Suraj and Outcast Records, it wasn't long before the media spotted a trend.
What we saw there was a whole new birth of what it meant to be British and Asian. We were saying, don't look at us and don't come to this because we're Asian. This is not about being ethnic, but actually the statement that we're making is much more bigger than that. We are British, we are Asian.
What Anoka did was set the foundations for British artists to emerge and be themselves instead of being pigeonholed.
By its very definition, the whole Asian underground thing wasn't meant to be commercial. It wasn't meant to be pop music. It was about making music that was kind of challenging what was going on, and it was about what was the accepted norms about music and changing those and flipping those on the script. We are trying to fuse what we've grown up with, which is rave culture and drum and bass and jungle and abstract dance music, and put that together with Indian classical music and the music that our parents perhaps were listening to.
This was a period that had a lasting impact, with Talvin Singh winning the Mercury Music Award in 1999 and Nitin Sawhney going on to become one of the country's most critically acclaimed composers and musicians. But this newfound second-generation self-confidence didn't just hit music, because as far as the rest of society was concerned, if Asians didn't do cool, we certainly didn't do funny. Unless, of course, we were funny for being uncool.
The idea that Asians are funny, again, that's not one of those things that you hear very often. And if you watch telly in the 70s and the 80s, on the whole, Asians were the butt of jokes.
He said Japanese soldiers will be very angry and kill him.
Well, he can run away into the jungle like his workers, can't he?
अरे भाई ये पागल सा किसी ने बंद करो ये तो मेरा जिंदगी खराब कर देगा अगर जापानी लोगों का पता चलेगा तो मेरा गला भी काट लेगा अरे बाप रे बाप हमारा
Goodness Gracious Me stood out for everyone, and I think it was a huge landmark.
It had this mass appeal because suddenly everybody was watching this thing that came on once a week and going, this is really cool. We're seeing some brown faces on TV, they're having a laugh and a joke. And also it kind of made people a bit more aware of who we were.
So how come every Friday night we end up here, eh?
Because that's what you do, eh? You go out, you get tanked up on lassis and you go for an English. Yeah.
I mean, it's up there with the Dead Parrot sketch, with Python. It's up there with John Cleese in Fawlty Towers.
First up, we'll have 10,
Not bad.
12 bread rolls.
What was beauty about the humour was it had a quality of a Britishness about it. So it made it quite unique. When you have a sketch like Going for an English, or you have the Bhangra Muffins, it really brought it in that we were part of the community here, and a part of a new community that's developing within Britain.
I didn't realise the impact of it until I went into work and I had everyone, every non-Asian coming up to me going, that is the funniest thing on TV. It is hilarious. And overnight, the power relationship around comedy had changed. When it came to comedy, we were always the butt of jokes. Overnight, that changed.
There was a sense of the power being wrested from the mainstream and, you know, and whoever always had it. And these people saying, you know what, we're going to turn the joke back on you. And that was quite a liberating thing, really.
So there you have it. After 97, the media at large had decided that we were cool and funny, which is so very nice of them, though not everyone agreed.
Even after the so-called Asian cool, Asians weren't cool. You know, they never had been. You know, let's face it. You know, you go to any Bhangra club, you will see the most. I'll probably get beaten up now, but a bunch of tossers. You know.
Somewhere just off the M1, there's a field strewn in badly erected tents, empty cans of lager everywhere, and a faint whiff of human waste in the air. Yep, it's a music festival, but not any music festival. This is the Download at Donington Park, the spiritual home of rock. Not the sort of place you'd expect to find 8 nice young men from New Delhi doing anything really, let alone making rock history. Well, chuck all your preconceived ideas out of the window. The third and final day of this rock fest is being kicked off by an Indian rock band who for the first time ever are playing the main stage here at Donington. And only opening for Iron Maiden, this is Parikrama. Parikrama first got together in 1991, rocking their way across India from isolated villages to massive stadiums, pioneering the way for homegrown, hairy rock. When metal legends Iron Maiden saw Parikrama on a recent tour of India, they were so impressed they got straight onto the Download organisers to book them for Donington. What did Bruce Dickinson say to you?
Well, Bruce is going, they're like really cool. We knew nothing about them and like they were just amazing. And they've got to come to England because the English fans will really get them. I go, oh, okay, yeah, let me check them out.
I've managed to get an access nearly all areas pass, so I'll be able to hang out with the band for the whole day. All rock stars need groupies, right? This is it, we're piling onto the minibus. The lads are going to have their first sound check at Donington. How many times will I do that during the course of the day? Like any good metal band, Parikrama can fill a whole tour bus.
This band is just like India, too many people, too less space.
Yeah. Out here, for us, we're a new band. We weren't expecting all this. The fact that this is happening, we kind of grew up with Iron Maiden posters on our walls. We thought we'll rock and roll till we die or something, and we'll play a few Indian venues, and we'll probably cut a few albums and be over with it.
There's Dilip on drums, Sonam on guitars, Chintan on bass, Nitin lead vocals, Saurabh on guitars, Jumbo on tabla, Imran on violin, and Sabir on keyboards. Right, we've had the all clear, so we're off onto the stage at Donington. How excited am I? They've been holding rock festivals here since the 80s. For years, the Monsters of Rock Festival was the seminal tour date on the back of any metal band's t-shirt. Now it's Download that's rocking Donington. The name may have changed, but the hair hasn't. For the guys in Parikrama, it's not just an opportunity to play at Donington, it's a chance to get close to the bands they've always admired. Sonam's found the drum kit of Evanescence.
That's me. With the drum.
Guys, 40 minutes, we want to look alive. I think we're feeling nervous for the first time in our lives.
Are you really?
Yeah, everything rests on these next 25 minutes.
Yeah.
If anything, it's going to be like hell to pay. I think they think we're a Bhangra band.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be really shocked when it's going to be rock and roll.
I can't wait to see what the audience reaction is going to be. And punters are gathering already. Look very young. I can't wait. I'm really excited. I can't wait to see.
I'll tell you something, it's always a challenge to open a show.
Yeah.
To be the first one to open a show. I mean, all over we've been playing, we've always been the headliners. Always, you know?
It's either this or it's a day job when we get back to India. So guys, please practice.
Good choice.
Thank you.
All the best, guys. Once again.
This is finally it. We are about to see the first Indian rock band to play Donington.
Hello, Donington! All right, this is the first time we've come here. This is Parikrama from India. Yay!